Well, a sinkhole is simply where rock has been dissolved. People don't actually realize, but some kinds of rock, uh, salt rocks, and particularly limestone rocks, dissolve relatively easily. Now, that happens because we have CO2 in the air, which dissolves in water to make a very weak acid. And as that flows through the rocks, it finds little cracks and enlarges them. And eventually, that will, over millions of years, become a cave system. And often they have very, very shallow roofs. And what happens is that as groundwater changes, either because of enhanced rainfall or sometimes because we have leaking sewers, we tend to wash away any support there is, and they can come through to the surface. And it seems that the southern US is having a particular spate of this at the minute.
And what I'm not quite clear of is, are you saying this is a purely natural phenomenon, or is it something that's man-made? Are we the ones responsible for all this extra water, if you like?
Well, it can be a bit of both. Often in cities, the issues are not to do with natural water, it's to do with leaking drains and various things like this, people diverting water supplies, because it can happen sometimes when we have water draining from rocks as well as water draining in. So much of this is actually natural, but the thing is we actually want to have golf courses and keep them nice and green, so we give them a lot of water. It's quite plausible that, that excessive watering to keep these fairways green is at least part of the problem there.
Is there any way of predicting where these holes might occur? Because obviously, I mean, there's a real question here. I mean, you could save lives if you could.
We do a lot. We've been doing this for about 35 years. We use geophysical techniques to look for two things, one of which is the actual cavity, and we use radar to do that. But also we look for the fact that there is less mass, if you like, where the hole is than the surrounding rocks, so we measure gravity across it. But of course, you can't do that for the whole of the country. So what tends to happen is if there's a fairly major infrastructure planned, then we will go in and do this work. We're going to be doing this in Qatar in the near future. But to do the whole of a golf course, that probably would not be cost effective. And so we tend to find them there by experiment when people actually disappear into them, which is really very sad.